Hello, our friends, Evolutionary Energy Arts family.
Hello there, and welcome back.
Yes, and as always, I just want to double check, make sure everything's okay. Yeah, we're okay. Well, we're okay. That's debatable. I guess that's debatable.
That's so debatable. Yes, you're right. You're right.
Well, let's see what Jen is talking about today.
Yes.
She's got that a little bit of that resting bee face going, doesn't she?
I think so. Yeah. I mean, she looks to be pretty comfortable with it, though.
Well, you know, she was asked a question: should Americans expect new mitigation recommendations? Because there's going to be announcement tomorrow about 6 new steps in the battle against the never-ending plague upon the land. So, new measures, new steps. And her response was, well, it depends on if you're, you know, the V word or not. That says it all.
It does. It does say it all. And then it says some more. And like we've been saying forever, this has been coming and coming and coming. And here it is. You know, it depends on if you've been that or not.
I really have to wonder how certain individuals are going to view themselves when they realize exactly what they've taken part in. Just to leave it like that. I mean, I think there's some that, well, you know, you got to go back in history and wonder, you know, when did people know something was off with certain individuals? You know, we could bring up Caligula, you know, if we're looking at a crazy Roman emperor. When did people realize there was something wrong with his medulla oblongata?
Well, I think we've seen plenty of things wrong with certain Abdullahs.
Yes, yes. And not Abdul that lives down the street. He's a nice guy.
He is super nice.
Yes. So when and what's it going to feel like when people that have been towing a certain line or going along with a certain train of thought, when they recognize that things were not as they maybe thought, and they took part in something that turns out to be ginormous, you know, as far as historical impact and impact upon humanity. We were talking to a family member today that was talking about people that they know about. Our dear sister Carm that we love.
Hi, Carm.
Shout out for Carm and Raj.
Hey, Raj.
And just talking about people that, you know, personally, that she knows that were relatively young and just literally, like they did in 1929 with the stock market, just trying to fly without wings.
Yeah.
You know, being so frustrated and just unconsolable that, you know, they're looking to end the existence on this plane. And that's happening in bigger numbers than many people probably realize. Since the plague upon the land started, the number of people that are choosing to vacate in their own manner, whatever that manner is, has gone up through the roof. It's a horrible, sad thing that is real. And these things all affect us greatly. As we see, they are telling us, and I'm saying it that way, they are telling us daily, plague upon the land cases in the U.S. up more than 300% from this time last year. Wow. Wow. You know, just all you could say is, wow. I mean, 300% increase on profits. Everybody be really happy. Hey, guys, yeah, we're up 300% from last year. You know, everybody is high-fiving up, you know, in that corporate regime. Of course, when it's a negative number up 300%, you know, are people high-fiving? I'm just going to leave it at that.
Right.
As we look at more and more natural events as well taking place, or are they? Terrifying 7.1. I heard 7.0, 7.1, 7.4 from different sources. Shakes near Acapulco. They felt it in Mexico City as well. At least one killed, 1.6 million without power. And they're bringing up Cascadia being next. You know, there was a Quake that appeared in the USGS feed that then was erased, and they said, oh, no, that was just some sort of error. I think that was yesterday or the day before, and that was in Cascadia, and then people were thinking, cover up, cover up, cover up. You know, this is a big one. Mexico gets big quakes. They do. They most definitely do, and there's videos here for you guys to see. When we see and take a look at USGS, as many call it the USBS, you could see there's the big one, massive, and then we have one off to the west over here at a 4.3. And then we have 5 aftershocks that are showing all in the 4s for the most part. Is there more steam to be let off? Very, very possible. Let's hope it wasn't a prequel to a bigger event. By the way, the Dixie Fire is still blazing, still ongoing, and it's at number 2 position now. Every year we get new records being set. Almost, we're closing in on 1 million acres, 917,579 acres, 59% contained as of Tuesday. So largest fire for California is the August complex, which burned 1,032,648 acres in 2020. So, yeah, this is what, when you look at the records, you can see they're all recent. 2020, 2021, 2018, 2020, 2020. It's amazing. Fire in the sky, fire from the sky, fire from the gods.
It just keeps getting bigger and bigger every year.
Yep. It's really, that's what we're seeing in so many negative categories. And, you know, when we're talking about a 300% increase of something negative, you gotta say again, you know, if it was a corporate world, 300% increase, my God, you guys are doing a great job. Bonuses for everybody. Trips to the Mars with Elon Musk as your tour guide. You guys are doing great. 300% on something negative? Why are you in your positions? You guys deserve to be fired. Everybody deserves to be fired, basically. Along, it would seem logical, would it not? I mean, the corporate world could be pretty ruthless, and if you're talking that type of growth in something negative, well, obviously something's not working.
Yep, you need to change your ways. I mean,
yeah,
really,
so
seriously.
you know, you would almost say, well, whatever you're doing, do the exact opposite.
Yeah, you'd think so.
Because, you know, hey, can you get any worse?
Well, it could, in theory.
In theory, but again, as we've said, the apparent leadership, or, you know, for want of a better word, and there's a lot of more accurate words, go ahead and feel free to put it in your comments. You know, what you feel is a more accurate word for the quote-unquote leadership on this globe. Well, you know, lackluster, just it doesn't quite it doesn't quite give, you know, a clarity to what we're seeing here when we're talking about such abject failures across the board.
Let's give people 3 to 5 words to describe.
Yeah, you know, how would you describe the leadership in your country and what you see happening across the globe? I think, you know, I got to go back to the way people felt in France. Vive la Révolution. And think that, you know, the circumstances then, were they really that much worse than what we're seeing now? Or what we'll see in the next 3 years, 4 years? Super Typhoon Chant-2 moving towards the Philippines, Taiwan, and China. And this one's pretty powerful. And you have sustained winds of 160 miles an hour. It's a Cat 5. And, you know, we'll see what type of damage this does. It's also known as Kiko. It's interesting that they always have 2 names on these seems like they always have two names on these Pacific storms that impact over there. So it's doing a westward track. We could see it's going to scoot in between Taiwan and the Philippines and impact China. Hang on, Three Gorges. You know, I mean, that has hung on, at least apparently. Would we know if it didn't? I don't think they could keep that covered up if it didn't hang on for long, even though it's most definitely a regime that can kind of put spin any way they want. Go check out the video we did on Evolutionary, guys, today. And there's so much more that we want to talk about in regards to that video. But I think it's really important to look at the bigger picture that's going on and start to put puzzle pieces together. You know, hopefully we have a lot of really good puzzlers out there, and I know we do. Dangerous swells produced by Hurricane Larry are affecting much of the western Atlantic beaches, or they will be. It's going to pass to the east of Bermuda on Thursday, and then around portions of southeastern Newfoundland late Friday and Friday night. And glad this one is not heading towards, you know, a landfall on the eastern U.S. shore, Cat 3. You know, it's a strong storm, but still have a lot of hurricane season still left. By the way, the storms from Ida that produced an EF3 tornado in New Jersey, they just happened to take out the state's largest dairy farm. Yep. Wellacrest Farms, largest dairy farm in the state, basically wiped out, devastated, destroyed. It's just such a horrible coincidence how these storms and all these natural disasters seem to wipe out critical infrastructure and food supply.
I know, they have frighteningly good target abilities in being Mother Nature.
Yeah, we'll go back to the Bible, and you know, when the people sin, quote unquote, when they stray away, then God sends a plague, and
that's true,
and you know, punishes them. So is this just karmic? Is this law of cause and effect, or is, you know, somebody playing with some satellites?
Yeah.
And by the way, Ida crushed crude oil output in the Gulf of Mexico. So ranked the worst in 16 years. So yeah, 79% of the region's offshore oil production remains offline. 17.5 million barrels of oil lost, basically, as far as production goes. This all too perfect storm we see brewing, ever growing.
Yes, and it does. It just keeps growing and brewing and brewing and growing.
So this is a close one. 0.06 of a lunar distance. Closest call so far in 2021. Thank God this asteroid, 2021 RS2, is only between 8 and 16 feet in diameter. So it's not a planet killer. That's the good news.
Yay. Good news.
We got some good news. Yay. And we see here the Fed is helping facilitate trailer park evictions. Yes. Aren't they nice guys?
Oh, yeah.
Federal Reserve is helping corporate real estate investors. Imagine that. Evict poor people from mobile home parks. Aren't they? What's going on here? Whatever happened to, you know, helping the average people, helping the people that need some help? Well, you know, they're helping the corporate investors. As we had said before, you got to look deep. Who is the Federal Reserve? That's a good question. Many people realize that it's actually a bunch of privately owned banks. Yet it's named federal, making you think it's part of the actual government. Again, you know, you gotta go deeper. You could label anything you want. You know, we could label sassy horse.
Yeah.
But unfortunately, it's not going to mean that Cindy has a pony.
But I really want it to.
I know, she really wants a pony.
Really bad.
But even if we put a saddle on Sassy, she's not going to be able to carry either of us.
I know.
Doesn't matter what you label it. If something isn't something, it just isn't something.
Yeah, it doesn't even matter how much you want it to be something.
So why would you label it something it's not? Well, because is reality reality or is perception reality? Perception. And that's where we look deeper. But yeah, this is just disgusting, you know, really. So NPR highlighted growing number of mobile home park evictions. According to the report, real estate investors continue to buy up mobile home parks across the U.S. They then raise lot rents and fees and evict residents who can't pay. As you might have been there a long time, maybe you were paying whatever, a couple $100. Now all of a sudden there's people that could afford to pay $1,000. You're gone. And look deeper. We've been talking about Blackrock. And look deeper into people that are even making laws and seeing where do they have their money invested? How are they profiting themselves? I keep going back. You know, one thing that they did know a lot about in France in the 1700s when people were starving, but yet there was still so much wealth in the upper echelons, so much luxury, so much extravagance going on, very much like today. They knew how to give a very, very close shave. And we shall leave it like that, I guess, on that statement there as well. You know, the Federal Reserve, you know, like when you talk about Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac, as it says here, they don't make actual loans. Private banks do that. The banks then sell mortgages on the secondary market. How many of you have gotten a mortgage? You go to a bank, you get a mortgage. All of a sudden you find out somebody else has your mortgage. Well, you know, they make money on things like that. They do. And so we see, you know, enter the Federal Reserve, they buy these mortgage-backed securities from Freddie, Fannie, and Ginnie Mae. This provides these operations with a cash infusion that enables them to buy even more mortgages, meaning banks can sell the mortgages to Freddie and Fannie, they turn around and lend more money. And, you know, it does touch on this too. They have the ability to just basically create cash out of thin air. It should be noted that the Fed creates money out of thin air to buy these securities. The entire operation would be impossible was it not for the central bank's ability to monetize the debt, i.e. print money to buy debt. In effect, Freddie and Fannie can buy all the mortgages it wants to, knowing the Fed's going to take some of them off their hands and infuse them with more cash. The process obliterates any semblance of restraint in the mortgage market. And this is why there's, you know, entities like BlackRock. And again, you know, let's see a list of who in Congress is invested in BlackRock. I'd love to see all that. And these other places that are buying up houses, and banks don't want to give you mortgages because this is part of the next big plan. You shall own nothing and be happy about it. They're going to own everything. It's still a feudal society. And, you know, instead of having ladies and lords that you have to bow down and curtsy before, we all bow to the corporate CEOs.
Well, you know, that's the only difference. Really, it's a shell game.
2.2 million more job openings than unemployed workers. This was an absolute shocker, it says in the JOLT report. But look at also what's going on. As we have shared, we have a couple of friends that are doctors that aren't practicing medicine. We know others that are nurses that are not nursing because they've been given options. Well, or they've lost the positions which they enjoyed that gave them a measure of freedom, and now the only thing they could find would take away their freedom of choice. So, hey, you know, I could swing a hammer.
Time to move on and on to better things, really, because it's what can your heart tolerate, really?
Exactly. You know, and things are changing. And again, why are they always so concerned about participation? They're participating in the economy because they're participating in their matrix. The more people that get out of the matrix, the better. The more people that are self-sufficient, the better. They hate people that are complete homesteaders. They hate that. You know, people that are totally able to self-sustain without taking part in anything, the people that don't have a mortgage, that don't have a car payment, you know, things like that, that aren't contributing to the machine, the matrix machine. Oh, they don't like that at all. Facebook said it doesn't read WhatsApp messages. Investigation revealed the company lied. In fact, they hired over 1,000 people to read your messages. Yes, you know, there again, making statements doesn't mean they're true.
Right.
Explosions, massive industrial fire in Kidderminster, England. And this was at a sheet metal plant as well. Makes you wonder again, anytime you see production and things like that, sheet metal, many different uses, makes you wonder about some covert ops going on. And over in Russia, we have a massive blast that they say was a natural gas explosion. Took off the front of a residential building, killed at least 2, put at least 6 people in the hospital. Pretty scary scene there. And, you know, the infrastructure over there does not seem to be the top quality, as they do seem to have a lot of these type of explosions.
They do, yeah.
But then again, you got to wonder, too, is it really just bad, faulty, you know, lines, natural gas lines? Is there anything going on of a covert nature? Is the earth shifting? We've seen sinkholes in many different places. Is it something along those lines? And we have this brain-destroying virus with a 75% death rate spreading in India. Have you heard of Nipah? And this is pretty scary. You know, the thankful thing right now is that, you know, it's much harder to contract than, say, the plague that's been upon the land. And it's been known since 1998, but it's been contained. And they had a outbreak in West Bengal. 45 out of 66 people that got infected died. And the bat-borne virus was the inspiration for the movie Contagion. And yes, it's more deadly than the plague upon the land, at least in the current version, and spreads less efficiently, which is, you know, good news. But, you know, again, who knows what is going to come? And we have this Meteor Fireball seen over Italy, Switzerland, Germany, France. And it's curious because in the second video here, I'll give you guys the link. You can see there's something that's right above it, like a companion. Is it a part of it that broke off? Kind of feels more like either ships or maybe some sort of entity.
It's definitely, it's more of a, it's hard to explain. It's kind of an entity slash ship. So they use the atmosphere to create like a ship to come in. And then when they get here, they give it back to the atmosphere. It's hard to explain.
Seems that some of these powers that be are getting very touchy. So over in Australia, Victoria is going to become the first Australian state to ban public display of Nazi symbols. You know, the proposed law comes after federal police called for a ban on extremist insignia and propaganda. And, you know, obviously, there's certain things that we associate right away with that. The problem is that so many things, like we've talked about, you know, why is the terrorist group ISIS named ISIS? You know, do they want to give a bad connotation to what was one of the most revered and worshipped goddess figures ever on the planet? Well, you know, when we look at the Nazis and the swastika, which they twisted, you know, basically put it up on its edge there. It's an ancient symbol, too, that many of you know. It's found in Hinduism, Jainism, and Buddhism. And, you know, in some ways it's giving us solar power. Others have said that it's actually representing the spinning of the cosmos itself and the galaxy as the galaxy spins in a spiral pattern. And this is an ancient symbol. It goes back at least 5,000 to 6,000 years. But of course, it's been demonized now. as they always want to demonize anything that is good. This is where you have to learn discernment and question. You know, if it is accepted in the mainstream, then there's probably some distortion going on.
Right. If you've only been exposed to this symbol and what it means since you were in kindergarten and you've never looked any deeper, you're going to come out the gate automatically enraged that somebody might use this because of what you know that you've been told. So they do this with our education all the time.
Yeah, and they've twisted everything. And, you know, they get people to take a fundamentalist point of view. And again, why do we bring all this up all the time about fundamentalism? Well, because, for instance, you know, Christianity and Islam are on a collision course, and that's part of how they always have the nonstop wars, the religious aspects of it. It's part of how you've got nonstop war going on this planet forever. Forever. Everybody thinks they're the only ones with the truth. Everybody else is wrong. You know, it was even a common practice to basically take the gods of an enemy and view them as demons. And that's exactly what people do without looking into anything. And unfortunately, like as we've shared, about 2/3 or so, maybe a little bit more, of the people on this planet are basically what we would call younger souls. And they haven't been through incarnations on other planets. They've only known this, they've only known 3D, 4D, and they tend to be more gullible, just to, you know, put it straight out. Now, most of the people that are just basically drawn to channels like this, it's because you resonate with it and you're an older soul. You've had incarnations elsewhere. You just have a distinct knowing that you're not the body, that you're something much more than just the flesh suit that you look at every day in the mirror. And you know there's something wrong with the whole system because it just doesn't feel right.
And it doesn't work, and you can look around and see that because your pineal gland is starting to open up and you can see the layers of illusion.
Yeah, maybe it doesn't work because it's not supposed to work.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe there's wars that never end because they're not supposed to end. Mm-hmm. It's not part of the plan. The plan is nonstop profits, nonstop control, nonstop loosh. Mm-hmm. And loosh, just for those of you who never heard that, it's basically energy that can be consumed by certain beings and energy of a certain negative predisposition. When you look at what war creates, it creates terror, it creates anger, hatred, all these things. It creates a food source for certain negative entities and also a way to constantly control people. If you constantly have atrocities being done by one person on another, now another clan on another, then a different clan on another, revenge taken here, revenge taken there, it's a never-ending cycle. It just goes on all the time. And that's what we have. It won't end until people realize that they're being manipulated. Mm-hmm. And when they take something that's basically good and make it symbolize something that's bad, it automatically makes you fear it. It makes you not want to look at it or, you know, have a negative connotation with it. Like you see here, some people consider it a symbol of the galaxy itself. But it's an ancient symbol, somewhere between 4,000 and 6,000 years minimum. And, you know, it is made up of 3 different segments. And references to the portions of this symbol, what those words mean, are there in some of the tantras and some of the ancient texts. And again, you might talk about Vedas and Vedic, but that's just a tiny portion of the bigger picture. You have the Puranas, you have the Upanishads, you have, you know, so many different texts out there. And it's not really in the Hindu, because Hindu, again, comes from basically those of the Indus Valley is what they're pointing to, a certain geographic region. It's the Sanatana Dharma, which basically means the eternal truth or timeless wisdom, which is passed down really from I believe it goes all the way back up to the Golden Age, was given to us by beings that are not of this planet, but of a higher vibration. And there's still beings that we can contact if we try hard enough through mantras and meditation.
It absolutely is super important that you guys know that and give it a try. See what happens. And I've seen some really beautiful comments as somebody said, you guys said to reach out, and I did, and wow, was that ever amazing. So I'm glad to see that some people are giving it a try and then taking note of what happens, because they do want to help wherever they can. Wherever it's possible, they will help.
So basically, it's a symbol of good luck, peace, prosperity, and the like, also protection. And it also is something that can be used in rituals to facilitate higher states of consciousness in which you could contact higher vibrational density beings. And of course, there's going to be the very, very small minds that are completely closed that will say, oh, you're talking to demons again.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and they don't even realize demon, the whole word comes from daemon, which was a nature spirit. And nature spirits have been demonized in the West, so you won't even think to try to contact anything. You've been told, thou shalt not do this, that, and the other thing. Well, it's because your slave masters don't want you waking up.
Yeah, they don't want you to realize that you can make a difference and positive change in a direction that works for you.
They just want you to go ahead and just go line up and be a good citizen and go do whatever they tell you to do, even if that involves jumping off a cliff.
Yeah, it's that.
Basically. So, again, distortions and twists, and many people can get that they can't trust the media, they can't trust politicians. They're learning, but still they trust a lot of other things they don't think to question. Question everything. Question everything. Attain gnosis, which is true knowledge by experience. That's the only thing you can trust. Weigh it with your heart and your head, as Buddha said. And if it feels right and seems right and is for the good of the all, go with it. If not, discard it. So just wanted to share that with you guys. Thank you for your support on Ko-Fi and also on Patreon, because we couldn't do it without your guys' support in those places. And do check out Medicinal Foods, lots of goodies and lots of good stuff that's actually healthy for you. Use coupon code EEA for extra 5% off your order, and then as you fill up your cart, you can get up to 25% off and free shipping as well. And there's a link on every video. Make sure you guys are subscribed to both channels, as constantly people are being bumped off of that. And have the bell clicked for all notifications. Hopefully you'll get one or two.
Yeah.
And keep fighting the good fight, because we're not going down without a fight.
No, we're not. That's not an option.
No. And again, we are all, you guys listening to this, you're something that is eternal. This is just one page in your bigger story. One page. This whole life is one page. And what is an endless assortment of volumes in the greater you. So really it's all about how we act in this life, what we do. It's all about that law of cause and effect. Are we trying to lift up others? Are we trying to change the system, get it in a better place for the benefit of the all? Or, are we just going to go along with it like, the cattle being headed for that final roundup?
Don't be that.
No. God bless and namaste.
Namaste.